Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Jacqui from the YMCA of Greater Boston. Going to be moving you through a Vinyasa flow this morning. We're going to get started in a seat. I am recommending a block this morning. I have one underneath my seat here. Sometimes two is a little bit more helpful if you feel like you're tight in the hips. Men generally need two blocks. They just have squarer hips. So whatever you feel like at home, you might not take any block at all, which is fine. And then just coming into a cross-legged seat here. We're going to start with the palms relaxed on top of the legs. And then you can come into a soft gaze or maybe just gently closing the eyes, letting them be a little heavy to start. And then just slowly starting to come into your breath. I know you might still be situating your seat. Once you're there, you want the block under the whole bottom of your seat so that you're sitting up nice and tall, thinking of tucking in that tailbone. And the spine is long, shoulders are tall. And we'll start with a nice big breath in and sighing it out. And again, a full breath in all the way to the top and sighing it out. And as you continue your breathing, just starting to scan through the body this morning, checking in with that block, making sure that you do feel comfortably seated. And then also scanning, checking in physically the rest of the body, taking note of anywhere you're holding tension this morning, anywhere the body feels agitated or sort of out of alignment, maybe the way that you slept. And then also scanning, checking in mentally, emotionally, any busy thoughts that you may have woken up with, especially on a Monday morning, and just seeing if you can push aside any of those distractions. They'll be there at the end of class. So for now, focusing on your breath, bringing mindfulness into your practice. If you'd like to set an intention this morning, we'll take the next 3 to 5 rounds of breath, solidifying whatever that intention might be. We'll seal those intentions together, collectively inhaling all the way to the top. You're going to fill the lungs completely. And then open the mouth and sigh it out. And we're going to open the eyes. Taking out the block or both blocks, whatever you may have used this morning, you can put them off to the side. We're going to turn that cross-legged seat into a half lotus. So on either side, doesn't matter which one, we'll do both. You're going to bring the sole of the foot up. And then doing your best to square the hips off. So scooching the legs here a little bit closer together. It does help to scoop the tush out from under so that you can feel those sits bones heavy on the mat. Go ahead and sweep the arms up nice and tall here. Full breath in. And then exhaling over the lap. And you might sort of shimmy the shoulders here a little side to side. Walk the hands and the arms out a little longer to the top. Taking a full breath in, sighing it out. One more full breath in through the nose. And opening the mouth, sigh it out. And then we'll walk back to the top. You're going to take your right hand over the left leg, and then left arm opens out behind you, coming into that gentle seated twist, sitting up tall. Look over your shoulder, inhale. Exhale, twist. And again, a full breath in. Exhale, twist. And swap sides. Left hand over the right leg. Right arm opens out behind you, sitting up tall. Inhale. Exhale. And again, big breath in. Exhale, twist. And come back to the front. Whatever leg is on bottom, you're going to swap, take that half lotus here on the opposite side, most likely your non-dominant side. So again, you're going to square the hips off, bring it in a little bit, sweep the arms up overhead, inhaling, and exhaling, folding over. Think of the ribs coming down to the lap, hands and arms walking long to the top, Maybe taking that little sway side to side. Finding 2 counts of breath in through the nose, out from the mouth. And again, a big breath in. Sighing it out. And walking back to the top. Letting the legs go long, coming into a staff seat here or an L seat. Scooping, feel free to get a strap at home if you need a little assistance, or a block if you want to go a little bit deeper. So I'll show you both options here. Sweeping the arms up overhead. Think of lengthening that spine. Exhaling down the legs. So maybe grabbing the top of the toes, blades of the feet. If you like the idea of the block, you're going to reach for behind the block and then pulling the chest down towards the legs. So hamstrings here are nice and long. If you have your strap, you're going to walk your hands as close as you can towards the feet. Big breath in. Exhale, fold. And again, in through the nose. Out from the mouth. One more. Big breath in. Exhale. And then release. Come back to the top. We're going to scooch over to the side here and set up for Navasana or boat pose. So you're going to bend into the knees. Again, a couple options. If you have the strap, go ahead and hook the strap behind you. Otherwise, blades of the feet or pointer middle finger will wrap around the big toes. You're going to walk the heels in and you're going to keep your spine nice and tall. Make sure there's nothing behind you at home. If you roll back, you're not going to hit your head. So just clearing the space. You're going to start with a hover here. So starting to engage your core, lifting those heels off the mat. Thighs and chest are fairly close to start. Now you can stay here the whole time. I'm going to transition through a few options, but if this is where you are this morning, that's perfectly fine. Otherwise, we start to lift 90 degrees here. So ankle and knees in the same line, still pulling the chest towards the thighs. This is where it sort of gets tempting to roll back. So keeping the core engaged, you might extend the legs. If you've got that strap, you are tightening up the slack as close as you can towards the feet. Big breath in. Exhale, release. And so we'll move through that again. Maybe you keep the big toes, maybe it's the blades or the strap. All of these can be taken with the arms out and fingers extended. We're going to walk the heels in one more time. Lift the feet off the mat. Good morning, Kate and Svetlana. And then finding your breath here. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling. Maybe you start to lift 90 degrees. Making sure that your chest stays close to those thighs. You don't want to roll back. And then its fullest expression of Navasana, that boat pose. Arms are extended, legs are extended. Chin is lifted, gazing forward. So really trying to keep the engagement here in the spine. Nice and long. You don't want to roll back. Rounding the shoulders. Keep them nice and tall. Full breath in. Full breath out. One more in through the nose. And as you exhale, gently release. We're going to loosely cross the legs, just rolling it over here and coming into our first tabletop. We'll move through a few rounds of cow-cat. Inhaling through the nose, dropping the belly, lifting the gaze. And then as you exhale, arching that back for your cat. Inhaling the cow. And exhaling cat. And so starting to find your own pace here. Feel free to move faster or slower, depending on what you're feeling along the backside this morning. Fingers are spread, maybe a little bend in the elbows as you're transitioning through cow and cat. Taking another 2 or 3 counts here. And then we're going to meet back in a neutral spine. Setting up for puppy pose. So 3 options, 2 of them with blocks. I'll give you the first option here. Both blocks will be at the top of the mat. Blocks are long to put your hands on top of. You're going to walk the blocks towards the top. You might have to walk your knees back a little bit here. And then finding that negative space. So this is a great option if in your typical puppy pose you're not getting a lot of engagement anymore. Maybe your back and shoulders are fairly comfortable. So here's one with the blocks. The second option, you'll have just one block, is going to be for under the forehead. You'll still walk those arms out, and then the forehead comes down to the mat. So this is if the shoulders are very tight, sort of the opposite of where we just were. And then if you're not sure, maybe you're still playing with puppy pose, then we don't take any blocks. You're gonna walk the arms out, forehead softens down to the mat. Maybe massaging the forehead side to side. If you're somewhere in the middle, the chin can come down, maybe the cheek. Hips stay nice and tall. Trying to bring that chest a little closer towards the mat. Big breath in. Big breath out. 2 more here. 1 more in through the nose. And as we exhale, gently, slowly, you're gonna walk it back to that tabletop. And we're gonna set up to thread our needle. So right side first, we're gonna peel the arm up. Fingers spread, reaching up, looking up. And then exhaling to weave. Bring the arm all the way under the body. Softening down onto that shoulder. Taking a peek up towards the ceiling. So option to stay here. You can walk that arm to the top right and notice that it's not blocking my view. So oftentimes the arm is sort of here. Get it out of your face. Look up towards the ceiling. If you want to go a little bit deeper, you're going to take that half bind. Arm wraps behind the waist, and then those fingers here, maybe you can see, are reaching into the pocket of my thigh. So feel free to stay here. If you want to add in some balance, we're going to extend the left leg. So it might be a while, it might be new for you. Those toes are going to tuck to the mat. Back of the leg is nice and long. I'm still looking up towards the ceiling. If you want to advance that balance, we're going to lift the leg, pointing those toes, maybe spreading them, in through the nose, out from the mouth. One more big breath in. And on that exhale, if you have the knee up, go ahead and lower it. Walk the left hand back. Pressing up, that right arm unravels for a counter stretch. And soften it down. Opposite side. Left arm peels up. Fingers spread, reaching up, stretch that neck. And then as we exhale, weaving the arm or threading that needle under the body, softening down onto your shoulder, and then looking right up. So we're not blocking the view. Right hand can stay or walk to the top left. If you like that half bind option, it can come behind the low back. Fingers are gonna reach for the inside of that thigh. Take a few breaths to sort of get your fingers where you want them. And then right leg can extend. So maybe tucking toes. One side sometimes feels a little bit different than the other. If you like the lift, you're gonna spread those toes. Find engagement here, keeping your butt and your belly tight. Full breath in. Full breath out. 2 more counts. 1 more full breath in. Full breath out. Gently lower and release that knee, walking the right hand back. Pressing up. Left arm unravels high. And soften it down. And finding our first down dog. Tucking those toes. Lifting the knees and the hips. And then let's pedal it out here. Bending into the knees, just waking up the body. Maybe rolling out balls of the feet, patting on the toes. That can feel really good. Usually a good amount of pops and cracks. Taking a full breath in and sighing it out. Let's walk those toes to the top of the mat, and we'll meet in our first ragdoll. Hands over opposite elbows, bending at the knees if you'd like. Crown is heavy. Shifting that weight. Side to side. Maybe straightening the legs a little bit more. And lowering those hands down to the mat. Taking that walk side to side. Your 2 circus tents here. Rounding it out. And then we're bringing it back to center. Inhaling for a halfway lift. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, sweeping the arms up. Finding sun A, reach up, look up. And exhale, sun B, cheer pose. Arms extend nice and long, fingers spread. Maybe the toes come up off of the mat. Full breath in. And exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift to chaturanga. And always the option of meeting in our downward dog if you'd like. And from our downward dog, maybe pedaling out those legs one more time, walking the toes a little closer towards the hands. And on your next breath in, right leg lifts high, finding that 3-legged dog, pushing up and away from the mat. Maybe stacking hips, bending that knee, right hip nice and high, full breath in, and exhale, release and lower. On the opposite side, left leg lifts, and exhale, stack. Left hip high, heel towards the bottom, in through the nose, and exhale, release. Take that walk to the top, meeting in our ragdoll once more, hands over either elbow, crown is heavy. Shift that weight. Straightening the legs a little bit more. And then lowering those hands, taking your circus tents. Maybe palming the floor if you're that close, but circus tents are fine. And then walking it out, side to side. Making your way back to center, we inhale for that halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sun A, sweep it up. Big breath in, reaching up, looking up. And exhale, sun B, sink back in the hips, reaching the arms out long. Remember that the weight is in your heels, so that's why we say lift the toes, almost like they're not even there. You can cactus or goalpost the arms if that helps or makes a little more sense. Elbows are up in line with the shoulders. Full breath in. On the exhale, can you sink a little lower? And again, big breath in. Sighing it out. One more in. Exhale, release. Halfway lift. Chaturanga. Then we come back to our downward dog, right leg lifting high. Exhale, stack. And we're gonna take a couple hip openers. So that right knee is drawing this giant circle up towards the ceiling for 3, for 2, for 1, and then the right leg lowers down. On the opposite side, left leg lifts. We exhale to stack, and then coming right into those openers, left knee lifting nice and high here. 3, 2, 1, and then the left leg lowers down. Maybe a hop to the top of the mat. You can bend those knees, look between the hands. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Sun A, sweeping it up. Exhale, sun B, sinking back. Now from here, we're still lifting those toes. Hands are gonna come to heart center. We're gonna set up for our twist. Right elbow over the left knee. I'm hooking the elbow over and then pulling the ribs up towards the ceiling. Gazing over the shoulder, hands can stay, maybe open, full breath in, sighing it out. One more in through the nose. Exhale, center. Not done yet. Left elbow over the right knee, pulling the right rib cage up, Pulling that hook back, looking over your shoulder, hands can stay. They might open. Looking up, in through the nose, out from the mouth. One more big breath in. Exhale, center. Last count of breath. Inhale. Exhale, release. Halfway lift. Chaturanga. Now, if you want to step back or jump back, you're going to bend those knees. Do the best that you can. Coming into that high to low. Upward dog. Downward dog. Shake it out, pedal it out. From that downward dog, right leg lifting high. Pyramid. Stepping it to the top. Walking the hands back to frame if you still have those blocks close by. Blocks can frame the front right foot. And then folding over. Nose to the knee or the shin. Hanging heavy here. Now, if you want to get rid of the blocks, you can take those tented fingertips. Maybe rotating the hands, walking them back. In through the nose. And out from the mouth. One more count of breath. On the exhale, we take half moon, and again, the blocks can come in handy here. So the left leg is going to lift. We're going to lose the left hand here, either to the hip or to the ceiling. Before you reach for the ceiling, make sure that your right hand is diagonal of the pinky toe, and you can change the block of the height. Maybe the left arm reaches for the ceiling. Fingers are spread, toes are pointing. If you like that sugar cane, we're going to bend into that knee, grabbing hold of the foot, and then pulling it up and away from the body. So making that little window of space here. In through the nose. And as we exhale, slowly, gently release. Shake it out, heel toe, halfway lift to chaturanga. And meeting back in our downward dog. On the opposite side, left leg lifts. Exhale, pyramid. Stepping to the top, blocks if you want, straightening the legs here. Or no blocks, up to you. And then folding over that left side. So nose to the knee or the shin. Maybe releasing the blocks. We'll stay another 2 counts here. And then finding half moon, stepping into the left side, lifting the right, finding a diagonal space here with that left hand. Right hand either to the hip, reaching for the ceiling, fingers spread. In through the nose and out from the mouth. 2 more counts. Maybe you're already moving into that bind here, your sugar cane. And then gently, slowly, we're going to release. Let the foot come down, heel toe, shake it out. Halfway lift to chaturanga. And then meeting back in our downward dog. From here, I'm going to demo on my left, but you can lift either side. We're going to lift that leg nice and high, finding our half pigeon, since my left side's facing the camera. You're going to scooch that right leg back. Start to find that half pigeon here. Since we've used the block so much today, I'm going to show you on both sides where that block might come in handy. So a lot of us here, the hip tends to be super tight, and when we fold over, the hip sort of lifts up and away. If you notice that's happening, you're gonna wedge the block right under your tush. For me, this doesn't make sense, right? It actually pulls me away from the floor. It might even you out. So you're gonna wedge that block under the butt. If the block is too high, then a rolled up blanket or a towel can be nice under here instead. And then the back leg, notice the top of the foot is to the mat, okay? It's not splayed out so that the arch is to the floor. It's the top of the foot. We're gonna fold over. The blocks might come in handy here if you wanna block under the arms, if you wanna choose a bolster instead, whatever makes sense. You're gonna start to fold out, or walk out rather. And then see if you can let your nose, your head, everything be a little bit heavier towards the mat. The arms can walk out a little longer. Taking another 3 to 5 counts here. And then gently, slowly, you're gonna walk yourself back up. The right leg is gonna swing around front, keeping that left knee bent. Sole of the foot comes into the thigh, toes are pointing to the head. Hands are strapped, sweeping the arms up, and then exhaling, folding over that leg. And maybe you have the block still behind the foot if you're trying to go that extra bit. Nose to the knee, ribs to the thigh. And release. Loosely cross those legs just so you can roll over, step back into that downward dog. And then we'll take all of that again on the other side, lifting the leg high, half pigeon. So on this side, you can see the other thing that happens in our half pigeon. So you might wedge the block under your cheek here, you might not. You want to keep the foot out of the groin. So a lot of us, most of us do this when we first start. This does not open the hip. You're sort of caving everything in because it feels better. It doesn't really feel good to pull the foot out, but that is the correct alignment. The other thing that happens when you're pulling the foot out, we tend to splay, and that long leg comes off of the mat. So you really want to keep your seat heavy, and that's where the block under your cheek might come in handy. Keeping the foot out of the groin. Sometimes we think of fire logs, so the top of the mat is parallel with your shin, ideally, and then we still have the top of that foot here pressing down towards the mat. We're gonna fold over as much as we can. And like I said, if the blocks feel good under the forearms, if you've got a bolster to place under there, this can make it a little more comfortable. But otherwise, this is sort of, patience and time make this a little easier each time you come into it. So walking the arms out, folding over, deepening that stretch. And then very gently, slowly, you're gonna walk yourself back up and out. This time the left leg swings around front. Walk yourself back a little bit here. Sole the foot in that thigh, sweeping the arms up or taking that strap and folding over. Pointing the toes to the head. Ribs to the thigh, nose to the knee or the shin. And then bringing yourself back up here. One more time, we'll come into that L-seat or staff pose, scooping the tush. Both legs are long here, pointing the toes to the head. Block or no block at the bottom of the feet, if you like that extra length piece. And folding over here, nose to the knees or the shins. Nice and heavy. And back to the top. From your L seat, you're going to bend into the left leg. Walk your heel close to the tush. Two options here. Right hand either pulls that knee in so it's not splaying out. Okay, you want to square off. Or to keep it in place, you're going to use the elbow, which is a little bit more resistant, looking over the shoulder. Sitting up tall, big breath in. Exhale, twist. One more. Sighing it out. And we take it to the other side. Let the left leg go long. Right knee bends. Right arm can open, and then either left hand pulls the knee in so it stays close to you, or we take the elbow over. Take a peek over the shoulder here, inhaling through the nose. Exhaling. And again, a big breath in. Sighing it out. And back to center. Both legs go long. We're going to come fully reclined here, letting the back meet the mat. Full body stretch, arms long behind you, pointing through those toes. Big breath in, big breath out. And we'll come into Viparita Karani with a block. So I think when we did this a couple weeks ago, we didn't have the blocks. I'm going to recommend a block, or you're going to scoot yourself over to the wall right now. You're going to bring your hips, okay, and your cheeks all the way to the base of the wall at home, and the legs come all the way up. So as you're sort of scooching here side to side, there shouldn't be a whole lot of space between the back of your butt and the wall, okay? You want to get as close as you can. You can also take Viparita Karani without a block and without the wall. It is a little more challenging. It's there if you'd like. Hands and arms wherever you want. A letter T, a cactus. If you want to open up the shoulders, you can interlace. And then press yourself, or push your hands rather, away from the body. So whatever's most comfortable here. The timer is on. And somebody last time liked the reasoning behind this. So just to give you a couple reasons, there are many in Viparita Karani, or many benefits rather. Physically, I suggest taking the wall or a block because there is a lot of sensation happening, usually in the quads, your hip flexors, or the abs. You might be feeling one of these things, you might be feeling all of them. That's usually a pretty general indication you need a little more work there. So if your abs are trembling, if the quads are shaking, you want to do some more activity in those areas, okay? Maybe you're not feeling a whole lot. Sometimes the feet get tingly. This is a mind over matter. They will stop tingling. You want to either point your toes to the head, and it is very obvious pointing, or pointing the toes up towards the ceiling. And that's to make sure that the back of the legs here stay straight. When we start to bend those knees, right, and you can do it at home, we sort of relieve ourselves of that annoyance. It's not a pain, it's an annoyance because you're just not used to straightening the legs here. So trying to keep the legs as straight as possible. Internally, both from a physical standpoint, mental, emotional standpoint, this is a great pose if you just need a mood booster, which first thing in the morning for a 7 a.m. yoga class, this is a nice way to wake up. But if you are just having a day, right, if you're just having a Monday and you're feeling some sort of way a few hours from now, 5 minutes is the recommended dose. We're not doing that here on camera, but 5 minutes at home, if you can set the timer on the phone, maybe you fool around, you scroll social media or something like that. Even better if you don't scroll social media, but 5 minutes is the recommended dose. This is a great pose for bouts of insomnia, bouts of depression, anxiety. This is sort of like a pulling the plug on the day type of move here. So 5 minutes to get those benefits. Briefly, I touched upon a great pose for women of all ages, just due to the things that women go through that men don't. And otherwise, a nice way to drain old blood and then bring in new blood, forcing the heart here to do a little bit more work. So we're definitely over 2 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and alleviate you guys, lower those legs down. If you ever have the time or interest, 15 to 20 minutes would be amazing. but 5 minutes is the minimum dose. So go ahead, lengthen the legs here, shake out those feet. John, so nice to have you on this morning as usual. And coming into any other pose this morning we may not have gotten into, maybe one more full body stretch. You can bring the knees in if you want to rock those side to side, maybe a happy baby to close out your practice. And then one last offering with those blocks, since we did a lot with them today. Before you become fully comfortable, my last offering is a block under either heel, little lift here, and then go ahead and lie back down. Hands and arms can be wherever you'd like, maybe on the belly, maybe the heart. Closing the eyes here. Relaxing the breath. Shavasana. As always, feel free to stay here for as long as you'd like this morning. Otherwise, slowly turn over onto either side and gently press yourself up into a forward seat. We'll meet with hands together at heart center. Sitting up nice and tall, let's take a breath in and open the mouth side out. May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, may you live your life with ease. Together the hands lift to the center of the forehead. Thank you so much for practicing with me this morning. I look forward to seeing you again soon.